Hello everyone and welcome to Conversations with WINENJIRU. This is the coastal edition. I say coastal because it's not just Mombasa. I know you Nairobians, you never know the difference, right? So 001 is where we're beginning in Mombasa County. We'll be going into Kwale and Kilifi as well. We're starting at one of my favorite destinations on the Mombasa coast. We're at CHAR-CHOMA. And I have Victoria Ngigi with me today, and we're going to be having a conversation about her journey, about CHAR-CHOMA, the business, and the industry in a whole. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Although this is not where I met you, though, Victoria.
I don't know whether you remember where you met me.
Tell me. I have my version, but maybe you can tell me.
No, only your version first.
Okay, I remember Local Grill.
Okay.
Because for the longest time on my phone, I had your number saved as Victoria Local Grill WSET.
Yeah.
And the funny thing that if you're one of the first people who made the most inquiries about WSET,
yes,
and yet I haven't seen your face in class yet. Are you still coming?
I am still coming. I'm on my way there.
Almost.
Almost. It's slow, but it's getting there.
It's getting there. You've been traveling around the world doing other things,
oh,
right?
Well, I hope
so. Okay, but then you say you had met me before.
Yes.
So maybe perhaps share your story,
okay,
including where you know we met.
Yes.
Clearly, I don't remember.
So in 2015, I think, or 2016, I was working for Art Cafe. So at the time, the head sommelier, told me about WASA, and you were doing a beverage intelligence class. So that's where I remember that I first met you.
Wow,
from. Yeah.
That was definitely earlier than the Local Grill.
Definitely earlier, at least 2 years earlier, I think.
Okay, super.
Yeah.
So Art Cafe was where you began, or where has this journey taken you so far?
So I like to say that I grew up watching Martha Stewart and Jamie Oliver. So I always kind of knew I wanted to be a chef. So my journey started there. And then I started a catering business when I was about 16.
Wow.
So, I used to do outside catering for small events below 100. So I think my interest in the hospitality industry began there.
Okay.
I went to school, and then after I did my internship at West House, which I think has changed names now. It's on Peponi Road.
Okay, I see it.
On the left-hand side, it has a beautiful view of Karura.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah, across the ridge.
Yes.
From behind, yes.
And then Art Cafe was having mass interviews. I mean, there were like 1,000 people at the very least.
Wow, okay.
And I started as a hostess at Art Cafe. And then from that particular time, I guess I just kind of grew from there. So I started as a hostess, and then I started getting interested in wines. And I'd talk to the sommelier quite a bit, what exactly do you do? And he'd teach me, he'd train me, he'd take me along on trainings. And I learned so much, and then I moved from that to being a supervisor, and then now doing cluster management, where I was a supervisor for Urban Gourmet.
Urban Gourmet is one of the brands of the Art Cafe group.
Yes, one of the brands of the Art Cafe group. So then I would, switch kind of branches every other day. Yeah, and it was great. And then I moved on from that to Local Grill, where you met me.
Okay.
So at Local Grill, I was the restaurant manager, and Local Grill is a steakhouse at the Village Market. And I started as a restaurant manager, but I still had interest in wine. I still had interest in the bar, which was the mixology bit of it. So I moved on from that. We had a Canadian bartender who left. Mm-hmm. So then I moved to managing the bar and the restaurant at the same time. So that was great. I mean, I used to sell wines, and I started my journey into mixology, although I had started a bit in Art Cafe.
Okay.
And then I moved from Local Grill. This was during COVID in 2020. So I moved from Local Grill to where I am now, CHAR-CHOMA.
CHAR-CHOMA.
Yes. So when I first came to CHAR-CHOMA in 2020, I started as a brand and business development manager. So I did that up until about 2 years, about till 2021. And then I moved on from that to Wow Beverages. So at Wow Beverages, I was an account manager. I was handling HoReCa.
Okay.
Although at some point I also had to stand in for off-trade, which is the supermarkets, retailers, and all of that. So I did that for a year. And then I came back to CHAR-CHOMA.
You came back home.
I came back home,
Yeah.
I came back home, but I am now doing something different. So I'm still doing, part of the branding responsibilities. But what I primarily do is culinary product development.
Okay,
yes.
Culinary product development.
Yes.
I like that word and I'll come back to it.
Okay.
But I'm just so amazed about all these years and this journey and all these brands that you've been dealt with, because you still look 16.
Wow.
I mean, coming back to the 16 now, right? You were running a catering company at 16.
Yes.
I mean, you're talking about Jamie Oliver and the like. I mean, I love Nigella.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Nigella Lawson.
Really?
Because she just used to cook and eat her food with no shame.
Yes.
And I think after every show, somehow she'd be opening the fridge in the middle of the night and stuffing her mouth.
Yeah.
And she used so much butter. I've never seen anybody use so much butter in her life.
Yeah.
But yeah, 16. The rest of us were busy, singing along to love songs and having music books.
Yeah.
You were busy catering for events.
Yeah, so I mean, during the holidays, I'd work for, what I'd call my auntie, who was doing events.
Wow.
But, she was mostly doing decor for them. So then I noticed when she was doing like baby showers and things like that, they'd ask her, do you have someone who can be able to cater? So one time, because I really did like to cook, and at home, if we have a function, I'm the one who's cooking.
Okay,
yeah.
super.
Yeah, so I just asked one of them, could I try? Could I do it for you? And I don't need you to pay me anything, just let me cater for you. And I think that was the start of everything. And everything else after that actually was a referral.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've never thought about going for chef qualifications? No.
I did, kind of. I went for a diploma and I
Okay.
did catering. I did think I was going to be a chef.
Yes.
And then I guess life just,
Life has just happened.
life just happened. Yeah.
Okay, no. And I mean, great brands you've worked with. Now, the quirky thing about you is you're vegetarian.
Yes.
But here you are, number one local grill. It was a steakhouse. CHAR-CHOMA just talks. I mean, this is meat heaven, right?
Yes.
Sometimes I wonder whether you're more of a butchery or more of a destination,
Yeah.
sort of culinary destination,
Yeah.
right? How does that work?
So it's a little bit of both. So most people growing up in, I'd say, East Africa or Kenya, going out, when your parents were taking you out, the height of being taken out was going to a place where unachomewa nyama, right?
Yes.
So they go somewhere and your parent is like, order for a quarter, order for a kilo. So that's the style, that's a butchery concept style that we've taken.
Okay.
So when you get into our butchery, you're able to choose the cuts that you want, and we educate our consumers about the cuts.
Nice.
You get to pick, and you're like, not that one, pick for me that one. It looks a little, juicier, fattier. And that's the concept. So it's a restaurant, yes, but it's a butchery style concept where you get to pick your own meat and we cook it, for you. It's a la carte. We cook it for you. When you pick your meat, we wait and then we put it in our grill.
I don't have to know so and so at the fire.
You don't have to. No, you don't. You don't.
And it'll come the way it was supposed to.
Absolutely.
It won't be missing some pieces.
No, it will not be missing some pieces.
No, cool. But then now, if you're the culinary, you called it culinary menu developer.
Culinary product developer.
Culinary product developer. How do you develop menus in a meat place if you don't consume meat? Do you have a tasting team? Because I'd like to join it.
I do have a tasting team,
Okay.
but also, when I was in school, would try, because meat is about the quality of the
Okay.
meat, and that's what we focus on. So once your quality of your meat or your raw product is great, everything else after is really just an add-on.
Okay.
So I feel like it's scientific. So, certain flavors go with certain things, certain marinades go with certain meats.
Yes.
So it's really just, the science of it.
Okay.
And what you get is the mouthfeel and the experience and all of that. Yeah.
Yes. I'm thinking there's a lot of wine people who are apparently sober, so they don't necessarily drink.
Yes.
But then they are sommeliers, and they
Yes.
taste and recommend wine often. So perhaps this is something that we'll be seeing more in the future.
Yes.
CHAR-CHOMA, you've talked about the concept. What is the beverage side, perhaps?
Yes.
And where are all these wines here?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I like to say that you can get any kind of spirits anywhere. I don't want to mention the brands, but you can be able to get them anywhere. And as we are a butchery style concept, we want to move away from your traditional butchery style concept, and we want to bring new experiences. And meat does go with wine,
Oh,
you know?
totally.
So we want to move our consumers to be wine drinkers, and that's what we've been trying to do for the past year. So our environment really is more like spirits and beers, and we want to move that away to wines and cocktails. This is because we want our consumers to have a better experience, a more, I'd say, high-end kind of experience. And, wine is such an exciting journey. There's nothing too interesting about beers. You probably have a small cluster of it. But when we start talking about wine and we start educating our consumers about wine and they become excited about it, so then we can be able to take our consumers on a journey every single day.
Yes.
Recommend different things every single day. Yeah.
Okay, so match your butchery style to the wine style as well. Kenya has been a beer country for a long time.
Yes.
And of course, there's lots of sponsorship money coming from the whiskey side also,
Yes.
and the spirit side.
Yes.
So has this been difficult, or do you see a change? Like, you've been open for, is it 4 years now?
Yes.
Yeah.
It has been a bit difficult, but we took a different approach. So we are targeting our local consumers are the locals here in Mombasa. So that means that we know our customers. At least I like to say at least 60-70% are the clients that we already know. So we take a more hands-on approach. Is that we go and talk to them. So our wait staff goes and recommends wine, and we do tasting. So about once a month or twice in a month, depending on the season and whatnot. We take our customers through what is wine. How can you be able to take this with your food? How can you be able to relate to the wine? Yeah.
Okay. And are they picking it up?
They
Do
are.
They consume more white wines, sparkling wines here?
Yeah.
Or
So-
is it because it's meat and it's red meat that you still find a lot of people?
I think initially we thought that we'd be selling more whites and rosés because of the weather,
Yes.
but it's the opposite. All my people are drinking red wines smack in the middle of the day, with their seafood.
Wow. It's all about preference at the end of the day.
It is all
right?
about preference.
Okay,
Yeah.
and of course you're pushing up the category, which is
Yes.
great as well.
Yes.
Now, what led to the decision to have sort of meat being sold by the beachside?
Yeah.
I must admit, it took me a while to
Yes.
actually know what this was.
Yes.
Because I would be running along the beach,
Yes.
and there was music and there was a vibe going on
Yeah.
here. So of course then you think, maybe it's a hotel. Do we have the same restrictions for access, for example, as you have in other establishments?
Yes.
And when I eventually got in, I actually never knew how to get here from the road.
Oh.
So I would somehow always have to come through,
Yes.
the beach side.
Yes.
But there was clearly a difference, and it has changed the landscape of
Yes.
this beach side, because
Yes.
then you have the traditional hotels or the other places that are not quite, I don't know, up and happening.
Yeah.
The food quality is not guaranteed in that.
Yes.
So that was my first challenge with CHAR-CHOMA.
Yes.
The second one was that butchery style concept.
Yes.
How do I order meat, in like 100 gram, is it 100 gram
Yes.
portions that you have to do? And
Yeah.
of course, all the different cuts. It was quite intimidating the
Yeah.
first time, but now I have the hang of it, and I have my favorites, and my people know, how I like,
Yeah.
how I like the things going on.
Yeah.
But even as someone who's traveled, and of course, I thought I knew the things of the world,
Yeah.
there was still some education I had to experience coming on here. But I think now I'm sorted, I'm a local, I even have, a favorite spot upstairs,
Yes.
a favorite spot downstairs, and the like. But it has really, really changed the face of entertainment.
Yes.
And I know you hold a lot of functions as well. You talked about the local population being your main people.
Yes.
But then do you have a lot of functions, or say when there's meetings and conferences happening in the neighboring community, you get an influx of the Nairobi crowd?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, we do. So when we have conferences around, we always get an influx of the Nairobi crowd, and but one thing that was around the beach, why we decided to have a meat restaurant by the beach,
Yeah.
is that this coastline was mostly for tourists. So
Yes.
when you look at our neighboring hotels and restaurants, they're mostly catered for, the Europeans coming in. And there was nowhere for the African to sit down and, not feel too stiff and feel like they belong.
Yeah.
And have their meal, and that's what we're about. When you come into CHAR-CHOMA, you will not stay here for less than 2 hours. You come and you'll just kind of disappear into the space, and you would know what happened. You're like, oh my goodness, it's been 3 hours already.
Yes.
Because we say that our brand is centered around food, celebration, and friendship. And that's integrated into how we want our customers to feel, that when you come here, you can be able to feel at home. Yeah.
Any plans to expand the portfolio for seafood? Do you get any requests?
Yes, so we do have seafood. We've just not displayed it just yet.
Okay.
We are under construction and we are expanding. So when we do expand, we'll have a seafood area where you'll be able to do the same thing that we do with our meat cuts. You'll be able to pick the seafood, and it'll be fresh, and you'll be able to have that as well. But we do have it. We
Will
just
it still
have it
be
in the
swimming?
back. Not really. We hope not be on ice. We'll just point you. We'll be like, that's the ocean. That's it.
It'll be on ice. Okay.
It'll be on ice.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then so it's available right now.
It's available.
It's just not under display.
Yes, it's not just under display.
So then, of course, the majority of the people eat them. The meat
Yes,
and
yes.
the like. Okay.
So because we can be able to pick your meat cuts in 100 grams, and we usually recommend 300 to 400 grams, you can pick a bit of everything. You can have a bit of seafood, you can have a bit of pork, you can have a bit of beef, and that's what it's around. You don't have to pick that today I just want to have A, B, C, D. You can kind of have a little bit of everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, great stuff. Any expansion plans? This location is booming. You mentioned construction. I really wanted to wear a hard hat today, just to be safe.
Yeah.
Expanding to other locations, expanding to another beach in a different coastal county.
Yeah.
What are the plans for that?
Not yet. We don't have plans just of yet. We really want to perfect this first.
Okay.
Before we can be able to, expand to different beaches or concepts.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then your staff complement has really, really grown.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the size right now, and how is it growing?
I think we're about 200 right now.
200. Wow.
But we started at about 30 something.
My goodness. And the covers in terms of the capacity for guests?
We're between 700 to 1,000.
That's a lot of
Yeah,
people.
that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of headaches.
But also, it didn't start there.
Yeah.
We grew very organically. And
Okay.
everything, I think most of our customers come by referral. And we just only recently put a banner. We didn't even have a banner.
Exactly. That's why I never knew where to get into the road. I knew if I get to Sarofa, I've passed.
Yeah,
if I'm still at Cyrock, I'm not yet
I'm
there.
not there.
So where's
Somewhere in the
middle?
Yeah, so because we wanted to grow with our people,
Wow.
most of the time, and it's just a different approach. Most restaurants or hotels will start by advertising. So most of the time they will, overpromise and underdeliver. So we decided, why don't we switch and see how that works? And to be quite honest, it really has worked.
It really has
for
worked
us.
very well.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does the industry think about you? What's the feel like for the competition?
Yeah.
Or in essence, yeah?
I think within the coastal region, we don't really have competition because no one else is kind of doing the same butchery style concept that we are. But the narrative is that this is as you said the meat haven, and that's what it has been. Even just neighboring hotels, they'll come by. The staff will come by. They just know that if you want good meat, this is the place to be. Yeah.
You do have your own production, right? Because you say farm to grill.
We say yeah.
So that's part of the business that's well integrated in.
Yes.
Okay.
So a part of our brand is there's been a lot of trends in terms of holistic hospitality and health conscious. So I mean, in the past couple of years, we've seen more people being health conscious, and so the farm to grill just kind of hones that. So most of our meat, apart from our beef, which we are currently outsourcing, but we're working on producing our own. So the pork and the chicken, and obviously the seafood we get from here because we're by the beach. But everything else, we have a farm. So we bring directly from our farm to our production houses, which are not too far from here.
Yes.
And then the cuts to the restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, great.
And then we grow our feeds as well. So,
oh, really?
Yes, we grow our feeds. So we are 100% sure about what is going into the animal.
Okay.
And that's what we say. This is a good quality cut of meat because we know what's going in. So we know the output of what we're able to get.
Okay, great. And there's the hotel as well.
Yes.
Capacity, I'm not sure.
So we only have 8 rooms,
On the
premises. And hopefully we can expand in the future.
Okay.
Most of our clients are corporates, capacities at 16 packs. But it's a part of the business, but we're not growing it just yet, but I know we'll get there.
We'll get there. And of course, I guess it may have to be a different location, not this one, unless you buy out all your neighbors.
Yeah, because now our main focus is the restaurant.
The restaurant destination, definitely. Super. How do you think your journey prepared you for this job? All the other roles you played, and even the short sort of, is it a sabbatical? You came to Nairobi to work for a wine importer, then came back.
Yeah.
So how does this all fit in together to the role you're playing today?
I've heard that there are things that you don't immediately use. So when I went to school, I did culinary, but I didn't think I'd use it because when I started working, I literally was just swept into operations for a bigger part of my career journey. But now I'm able to use that culinary experience that I had. So as a culinary product developer, I manage the recipes, I develop the recipes. That's for the kitchen. That's for the creamery and barista area where they do the smoothies and milkshakes. That's for the bar and mixology area where we also develop the recipes for the cocktails. And for wine, which is, you know, one of my biggest loves. And at where my sabbatical, you know, I was selling the wine, but now I'm working on importing the wine for the restaurant.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so for restaurant use. And so I think all of these things really played a key part in what I'm doing today, because it's like all my journeys mixed up in one role. Yeah, like I couldn't be more grateful for that.
Yeah, you know, and for the first time I've learned about this culinary product developer, and I'll be name dropping this any chance I can. So any parting shots? It's been a pleasure having, you know, you of course having a conversation with you.
Thank you.
You know, we are gearing up for the Cup Classic event.
Yes.
Here in Mombasa. For all the coastal counties, that's happening on the 13th of December.
Yes.
So I'm glad you have Cup Classic on your menu. That's always the first thing I check now. Not just for the coastal establishment. Is there a Cup Classic? Because it's one of my favorites, really, in terms of style and category. And I think it's very, very underutilized.
Yes.
As you would know, Barack Obama served this during his inauguration.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
His first inauguration.
Yes.
Yes.
That's our selling point, by the way.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. And I do notice it is from your former employer as well, Wow Beverages, but that's fine. But of course, one of the big brands from South Africa.
Yes.
So we are hoping to develop that whole category in the coast and across the country. But the one thing I know that was a hard sell for us when we were bringing Wines of South Africa events into the coast was like, what is unique about it, right? But I'm like, we've been so Nairobi focused, and of course a lot of the things happen there.
Yeah.
But in the coast, there's of course the 3 counties, yeah? And if we can bring the people from these counties together to have their knowledge enhanced and to give whatever customers are coming, whether local or international, the same experience they would experience in the larger cities, then we all grow.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear about your wine category growing. So is Mombasa where there's most wine drunk in the coastal regions?
Apparently not. And not in the Horeca. So in Horeca, most wine drinkers are in Diani.
No way.
Yeah.
In Kwale County.
Imagine.
That little strip of
that little
kilometers.
strip, you know?
They drink more wine than the whole of Mombasa put together.
I think
in the
so.
category.
Yeah.
You mentioned Horeca is hotels, restaurants, and catering companies.
Yes. So yes. So I think just within that space. But in terms of retail, so that's the supermarkets and all of that. Possibly this the North Coast.
The North Coast would be better.
Would be better.
Sorry, would be bigger.
Yes,
but
would
the
be
North
bigger.
Coast includes Kilifi.
Yes.
Which I hear is called California now.
Is it? Wow, I didn't know that.
California, I loved it. But then now Mombasa itself, would you know how you compare to Kilifi?
I know for a fact in terms of Horeca that Diani is doing better than.
We would assume
retail,
the
it's the other way. Yeah, the retail this side is
people
doing
are here.
more. Yes.
But then there's still growth in both. And of course,
there is.
We cannot talk about the coastal counties without thinking about places like Voi or Taveta, which has a lot of, which has the game reserves as well.
Yes.
And I'm sure things trickle that way as well. People are doing the beach and bush experience, right? Would you want to tell us perhaps your favorite brands here? Are you able to mention that?
Yes.
Or why you chose this in particular?
Why I chose these? So this is our highest selling rosé right now. So this is the Louis and Chanel Cinsault.
Okay.
And this is doing really well.
Oh, super.
So in terms of the palate, you know, our customers have a sweeter palate. And this is, you know, it's smack in the middle.
Okay.
And this is working for them because we're really trying to transition our clients from the sweet wine drinkers to try and, you know, educate them more.
I love
that. This is a great entry point.
Super.
And we have the Chemin de Pape Côte de Rhône. This is actually also one of our biggest red wine sellers. It is doing really well. And these are fairly new in the restaurant. I think they're about 6 months old and they're doing great.
Okay.
And we have the Graham Beck, the Cup Classique. And this is doing great. You know, this is actually doing better than our champagnes, by the way.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then we have the Tomasi Amarone. So these are our big boy drinkers. Okay. And this is doing great as well.
Okay, no, there you have it. You know, right here in CHAR-CHOMA, you can come experience the beach, which I know you can't see, but I can. Great meats, great wine experience, and of course, our culinary product developer has ensured you not only enjoy the culinary delights, but also the full experience on here. We're glad to have you. I say cheers, but especially see you in class soon.
Yes.
For the WSET qualification to add to your many, many qualifications. Thank you, Victoria. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, Wanjiru. Thank you for having me.